Yosef Alon, born Josef Plaček, was an Israeli Air Force officer and a military attaché to the United States, who was mysteriously shot and killed in the driveway of his home in Maryland. Early life. Alon, whose birth name was Josef Plaček, was born on Kibbutz Ein Harod to parents from Czechoslovakia. When he was 2, his family returned to Czechoslovakia. On the eve of World War II, Alon's father sent his 10-year-old son to the United Kingdom as part of the Kinder Transport program. Most of his family was wiped out during the Holocaust. Following the war, he returned to Czechoslovakia and attempted to start a career as a jeweler. In 1947, he volunteered for the first pilot's course in the Sheratovir, the Haganah's nascent Air Corps. Soon afterward, he moved back to Mandate, Palestine, changed his name to Yosef Alon, and upon Israeli independence in 1948, was among the founding members of the Israeli Air Force. IAF career. Alon fought in the Israeli War of Independence as a fighter pilot, an early member of the nascent Israeli Air Force, and would go on to complete 75 missions. When Israel formed its first Mirage fighter jet squadron, Alon was assigned its commander. In 1970, then a colonel, Alon was chosen to be the assistant air and naval attaché at Israel's embassy in Washington, D.C. Installed in what should have been a 3-year assignment, Alon advocated strongly on Israeli arms procurement, especially regarding the F-4 Phantom assassination. On the night of June 30, 1973, Yosef Alon and his wife Devorah went to a dinner party organized for a departing embassy staffer. After 2.5 hours of socializing and drinking, at roughly 12:30 a.m. on July 1, the couple entered the Ford Galaxy and drove home to Chevy Chase, Maryland, arriving about a half hour later. Devorah exited the vehicle and walked a few dozen feet to their porch while Alon gathered up his sports jacket on the back seat. At this moment, Alon was shot 5 times by a foreign-made .38 caliber revolver, one shot fatally hitting his heart. Devorah rushed inside and called the police, seeing only a light-colored car drive away, and then returned to the front yard and attempted with her 18-year-old daughter Dahlia to stem his bleeding with towels. Alon was taken to a hospital, where he died at 1:27 a.m. Aftermath. Radio broadcast. Later on July 1, the Cairo-based Voice of Palestine broadcast that after the assassination of Martyr Mohammed Boudalia at the hands of the Zionist intelligence elements in Paris, Colonel Yosef Alon was executed. His is the first execution operation carried out against a Zionist official in the U.S. investigation. The FBI investigation, murder of assistant air attaché Col. Josef Alon, quickly focused on a possible link with Arab terrorism, including following leads given by the Shin Bet, but was ultimately closed in March 1976 without discovering the perpetrators, according to the Associated Press. Sometime later, CIA was reported to have been told by Fedayeen senior official that on the orders of Black September, 2 students, using Lebanese or Cypriot passports, had passed through the Canadian border and come to Washington, where with the help of a local professor, had rented a car and got the weapons for the assassination. Afterwards, the students were reported to have abandoned the rental for another, which they used to get to Dulles International Airport. From there they flew on to the West Coast, East Asia, and finally the Middle East. This information was passed to the FBI in February 1977, but they could make no new progress, and the investigation was closed. The following year, the collected evidence for the case was destroyed by the Baltimore office of the FBI. Devorah Alon died in 1995 without knowing the identity of her husband's killer. In his book Chasing Shadows, Fred Burton, a former deputy chief of the counter-terror Counter-Terrorism Division of the U.S. State Department's Diplomatic Security Service and Vice President of the private intelligence and consulting firm Stratfor, concluded after a lengthy investigation that Alon's killer was an agent from Black September who was killed by Mossad in 2011.